Hey everybody, it's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Thank you for clicking on my face, and this is what we're talking about. Rob Pelinka. So I just want to give credit where credit's due. I felt like Rob Pelinka should have been the executive of the year this past season for what he was able to accomplish with very little maneuverability. Obviously, when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, it's hard to mess that up. But it's possible to mess that up. And you can see different GMs making different decisions and different ownerships signing off on different decisions that don't help their teams. And they're not able to attract a guy like Anthony Davis or LeBron James. They're not able to get those people to come to them because they don't have this or that. The Lakers have the luxury of a great locale, obviously Los Angeles, and the organization is prestigious. So when they're up, everybody's going to want to come play for them because you've been dreaming about playing for the Lakers for years. Either you've been dreaming about playing for them or you've been dreaming about beating them, but you've definitely been dreaming about the Lakers one way or another. So at this point, it's just like, okay, we're up. Guys want to come play with us. And it's easier said than done. I think a lot of people want to be Lakers, but there's only, 16 spots, right? I'm sure if we got a poll of players in the league, half of them would probably say they'd want to play for the Lakers at some point in their careers just to experience it. Because it's nothing like it. There's literally nothing like it. And you can be in the same league with the Lakers. You can play for the Hornets. You can play for the, Suns, Kings, whatever. You can play for these teams. Even some of the better teams that you've heard about, like Golden State and teams that have won, like even the Celtics. It ain't the same thing as being a Laker, buddy. It's just a different vibe. It's a different vibe. Too many people have worn this purple and gold and have had success. Too many people have worn this purple and gold and put their names in for the GOAT conversation. It's not much you can really do about that as it pertains to competition with our history. So when we're up, we're up. Rob Pelinka has put us in a position to not only be up, but stay up. And this is the first time since LeBron James has been here where I honestly think our team can make the playoffs without him. Now, can we win a championship without him? Hell no. Hell no. Not a chance. I don't even know if we get out of the first round. We're a middle of the pack team, though. And that's a great, great thing. A great thing. For Rob Pelinka to have had the ability to construct not only last year's championship team, but this year's roster, having only had somewhat of a real understanding of what AD is going to require in terms of his money and his cap situation. Obviously, he's going to demand top dollar, so at least you got to cut at least a $39 to $40 million check for him for every season that he's going to play, and that's what he demands. But as far as the framework of the deal not being constructed and him having to maneuver around that and still fit guys into the system, into the cap and all of that, he's done a magnificent job. Just a magnificent. We talk about executive of the year and all this. I start thinking about some of the best decisions that have been made in different teams and things that I can recall. And I'm looking at Rob Pelinka and saying he's rivaling everything. He's rivaling everything. Any great moves that you can consider from the past, you can put his moves from this season and last up next to those moves. That's how good of a job he's doing. Not only is he executive of the year, if he keeps up this pace, he could be executive of the decade. Like, that's how real it is right now. He has a long way to go before we can start crowning him GOAT or anything crazy like that. Jerry West, there's so many great GMs, so many great guys who've done this. So I'm not going to be disrespectful, but what I am saying is he looks like he's on a trajectory to put his name in for great GM. Like he looks like he's well on his way. How people compare Kendrick Lamar and say, yo, Kendrick was a new rapper, but you can already tell he's going to be rivaling everybody ever. That's the same way it seems like Rob Pelinka's start is coming off to. That's the type of start that Rob Pelinka's career is getting off to. So at this point, it's like, okay, all right, now I have real trust for this dude. And I think about how I felt when we hired him. And how I truly felt when we hired him was, I don't know what the heck's going on here, but if Kobe say he cool, I'm going to trust Kobe. And I think about it and I say, yo, look how great Rob ended up being. Kobe was right. Kobe wouldn't leave us with a GM that would have us out here in the dumpsters. That's what we need to also understand. Kobe Bryant, in co-signing Rob Pelinka, You have to understand how passionate he was about the organization. He played for this organization his entire career. He was a fan of this organization before he became an NBA basketball star. He was a fan of the Lakers when he was a child. You know what I mean? And he was a fan of the Lakers until his last day on this earth. So you have to understand that just because he was friends with Rob Pelinka did not mean that he was going to co-sign Rob Pelinka to being our general manager if he didn't see this in him. He wouldn't have even brought her to Jeannie. He wouldn't have brought him to Jeannie if he didn't see this in Rob. And most importantly, he would have never got that close to Rob if he didn't see something magnificent in Rob, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say that I can speak to Kobe's character as a man, because I didn't know the guy, obviously. But I can speak to the display that he showed and the excellence that he demanded from not only himself, but from others. And he would not have gotten close to anybody that wasn't special. We saw how he treated teammates. He didn't halfway talk to scrubs. He was allergic to them. He didn't like them dudes. That's why he and Smush didn't get along, because he knew Smush wasn't that kind of guy. And Smush couldn't accept that, I assume. And that's why they had such beef. But, Kobe wasn't the nicest guy when he thought guys weren't excellent and weren't trying. And he co-signed Rob Pelinka. That tells me that he knew Rob Pelinka was going to do a fantastic job. And he's done it. He's done it. If Rob Pelinka retires today, he's one of the best GMs we've had. Period. Just one of the top 3 GMs probably we've ever had. And the moves that he's making are uncanny. Now, do guys have to still go out there and play? Yes. We did make some changes to this roster. Guys are going to have to go out there and play. It's a new team all over again. Even when we got some guys coming back, and our mainstays are coming back coming back from last year, I should say, off a championship. They know one another. There's new chemistry that's going to have to grow. And most importantly, we have to understand our second facilitator and our bigs are new, which means we got to learn how to play with these guys, and we got to learn their tendencies. So while I'm up here singing Rob's praises, now it's about Frank. It's about Frank Vogel again. Can he duplicate the job he did last year and his coaching staff? Can they duplicate that job? And mind you, they don't have a couple of brilliant minds that they had last year. One being Rajon Rondo, who I could argue was very much an assistant coach on our team. And I wouldn't have been upset at all if he would have been the first player assistant coach of the Lakers. I don't know if there's ever been one, but I would not have been mad if the Lakers would have hired him as a coach while he still would have played. I think that would have been a decent idea, to be honest with you, to offer him that. And I think you keep him if you offer him that. But that's a whole other story. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know, but that's just an idea. I think that would be something that he would probably enjoy doing. But he was doing it anyway. But anyway, what it really comes down to is he's not there. His strategy isn't there. And now we have guys who are going to be looking to be led rather than to contribute and lead. And I think that that's going to create a different type of chemistry dynamic. And I just hope that it works. Guys like Wesley Matthews, I'm not thinking about him in that regard. He's been around the block a very long time, 12 years in this league. He knows who he is. He knows the ins and outs of how to be a professional and what to expect from teams and stuff like that. He just wants a ring. And, he's on a ring chasing mission. And I think he's finally in the spot where he can really get it. Dennis Schroeder's a young guy. Even though he's got a lot of moxie, he's got a lot of dog in him. At the end of the day, he's going to be looking to be kind of led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He's definitely going to be looking to them for experience. And, that's the difference in the dynamic from the point guard position. You're just not going to have what Rondo brought to the table. I would love for the Lakers to find a way to acquire another facilitator. I know they're looking at bigs right now because you want to have insurance for Marc Gasol. You want to have insurance even for AD, to be honest, because we know that he was healthy last year, but he has had his issues here and there with injuries. You want to be prepared for that. So it would be wise for us if we can get Whiteside. I know he's been a name that's been floated out there. I think we might be able to squeeze him in on a ring-chasing mission, trying, get him for like maybe $4 million a year. Now, I don't know if that's going to work, but being that there's a wholesale on centers, since really their position is kind of obsolete to a degree, I think there's a very good chance that that we can get him. I think we can. But is that the move we want to make? If it's going to keep us from getting another point guard, a facilitating point guard, I'm 50-50. I do understand the importance of size. In fact, I emphasize it. But if I'm relying upon just Dennis Schroeder to be my point guard, he's not a pass-first point guard. Now, we don't need him to be necessarily. In fact, I think shoot-first point guards are great in this particular situation. And he can assist. Don't get it twisted. He's not selfish. He's not devoid of ability to pass. In fact, from what I understand, he's a fantastic lob threat. So I'm not really worried about whether or not he'll pass. It's just more so facilitating. There's a difference between a guy who can get assists and a guy who facilitates and orchestrates a basketball floor. And I think that's what the Lakers would love to have. Rondo brought that to our table so that LeBron James was not the only person who had to do it. This year, I think LeBron James, if I'm not mistaken, is the only person on the floor that you can really count on to facilitate. And that's a dynamic that you don't necessarily want to have him have all the time. So I have to learn about Dennis Schroeder's game to actually know if what I'm saying is true. But the Dennis Schroeder that I've seen based on the time I've seen him play and the Dennis Schroeder that I've seen just in terms of owning him on fantasy basketball teams, he's looking to score the ball. He's looking to attack. And, that's what I understand him to be. So I'll be looking to see how good he facilitates, and I'll form an opinion from what I see. But I just haven't seen enough. At this point, though, I still think it would be great for the Lakers to acquire somebody like a Ricky Rubio type. Give me one more facilitator on the squad. And if you can do that, I don't think there's too many holes in this team at all. So, yeah, that's where my head is. I think center position is very, very important, though, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know that Mark has a whole lot left in the tank. I don't know that he's going to come in and be able to contribute much of anything at all. And that concerns me a little bit, just feeling that way. I've heard other people say that too, so I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. But I just feel like maybe Mark might be over with. It might be over for Mark. And if it is over for Mark, I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking to trade him at the deadline. I'm pretty sure that should already be in our minds right now. So it's already in my mind. I already have an inkling of worst case scenario circumstances and how we should probably address those circumstances come the trade deadline. Like I already can see that. Even though we have a very good team on paper, some of the guys that we have, particularly Wesley Matthews and Marc Gasol, I really do wonder what they're going to contribute. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised and they go off because they're both extremely talented. But Wesley Matthews is about 3 years removed from an Achilles injury, 12 years in. And Marc Gasol, I think he's like 15 years in. He's a little older than me. So that's like, I just don't know. But I do know guys are hungry. I do know guys have experience. And I do know guys can hit threes. And that's three things I want on my squad. So I'm not saying let's get rid of these guys or I'm not happy about signing them. But I do see a couple scenarios where I'm saying, let's get them up out of here quickly for some more capable talent. So that's what I'm thinking. And we also got a guy by the name of Alfonso McKinney. I hear he's a defender looking to learn about his game. I don't know a thing about Alfonso McKinney's game at all. So this is one of those situations where I'm just watching. One thing that I would love to see, though, is Talen Horton-Tucker take on a much more prominent role on our bench. The kid got long arms. He plays defense. He's aggressive offensively. He actually has a very, very interesting handle for somebody his size. He really puts the ball on the floor pretty well, and he comes at you with velocity. So he's a guy that I'm very, very interested in. Very active hands. Very good defender. I'd like to see what he's made of. You know what I mean? So that's somebody I think Frank Vogel will be wise to work into the rotation a little bit sometime during the middle of the season, the dog days of the season especially. I'd like to see some games where Talon gets some really meaningful minutes. And you never know, he might work his way into full-fledged rotation. I hear the Lakers are looking at a guy like Kyle Korver. I certainly don't think that's a bad idea. I know he'll come cheap. He better come cheap. But, worst case scenario, if he sucks, he sits. That's how I feel about anybody. If you suck, you sit. So at this point, it's like, yeah, if we can get Kyle Korver in here on a last hurrah, he certainly knows how to play with LeBron James. We know that they've won together and played with each other for many years. So I would expect that it would be seamless for him to be able to be fit into what it is that we do. He would fit in right away. So yeah, that's what I got in mind today. I just really appreciate Rob Pelinka's job, and I wanted to get on here and talk about that as well as just say what I'm thinking about our squad thus far. I haven't done what I usually do, which is play the game on 2K to look at the roster and see exactly how it looks. So when I get a better look at what the team actually can do, right now I don't have a vision. Just have a bunch of players, and I think I have an understanding of what they're capable of. But once you really see what they look like on the floor, then you can see how cohesive they are. My worry is that some of our bigger lineups are going to be slow. That's my worry. When we go big, can we keep pace? Because last year we had bigs that ran the floor. JaVale and Dwight could run, and they were durable. They were reliable, and they were healthy for most of the season. And because of it, we were able to just be bigger than people when we needed to be. And we were versatile enough to where we could sit those guys and not feel bad about it because our small ball lineups were dominant as well. That dynamic is in the air right now. This is simply in the air. And the reason why that's in the air is because Montrez is not a defensive big, even though he can block some shots and do a lot of good things for you and be really intimidating. He's not defensive minded, and he's not exactly a defensive dynamo like Dwight. And though Marc Gasol is, again, we're not certain what he's giving you, and he didn't look all that great last year. So at this point, it's like, well, yeah, getting a big is really important. Getting one more big, particularly somebody who can just run the floor. They don't have to be overly talented because you don't want them to step in and make it so that those guys aren't playing it, as much as they should. Trez gonna get his minutes, but you don't want to step on toes. But at the same time, it's like you definitely want to give yourself an opportunity to be as big as possible and to be able to run the floor in those big lineups. So that's what it's about, man. And I'd love to see Trez surprise me and play better defense than I'm expecting him to. I know people were saying he got ate up by Jokic. I mean, that's just Jokic is going to eat up everybody except Anthony Davis, pretty much. There's not going to be too many basketball floors where he doesn't do what it is that he does well. So Jokic is just simply one of the best players in the league, and he's the centerpiece of the Denver Nuggets, and he's probably going to stay that way for the rest of his career if they got any sense. So I'm not going to say that Trez should be ashamed for getting ate up by that dude. He's supposed to. Jokic's a much better player, but the good thing about being on the Lakers, and I think Trez thought about this, is he does not have to guard Nikola Jokic. He doesn't have to guard him. That's AD's check. AD will take that assignment, and we all know how that looks. Jokic is great, but as I said, when it comes to AD, same thing as him and Trez. Just different levels. As great as Jokic is, he's not Anthony Davis. So there's that. I like our chances against anybody. I think we're the best team in the league. And right now, being that Brooklyn has not acquired James Harden, I don't see anybody close. Be dead honest with you. Steph Curry always concerns me because I personally think he can go off for 70 points at any moment. Just all from the three-point line. He is a avalanche of offense when he's right. And he hasn't been right in a long time, and he hasn't been in a position to be that type of solo act in a long time. But last time I saw him as a solo act, that's exactly what he looked like. He looked like an avalanche of offense by himself. All three-point line stuff, if Steph comes back right, they do have a very good team. And they have the second pick in the draft, who I think can really do some damage from the center's position. We'll see if Wiseman really comes in with that kind of energy. Some of these bigs start slow. It take them a couple years to really get going, like DeAndre Ayton. It's going to take them a couple years to get going. But when they do get going, they can be franchise players for you. And I think Wiseman may be that guy, but it's all up in the air. Draymond, how much does he have left? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions about the Golden State Warriors, how Kelly Oubre is going to fit in, how that works out. What are they going to do with Andrew Wiggins? Do they keep him? So they got some good things there, though. They do have a better team than people think. They have a deeper team than people think. They still got to remember they got those talented rookies from last year coming in on their second year with a lot of confidence. Your Eric Paschall, that dude was really good last year. He was one of the rookies of the year candidates last year. So don't forget what Golden State was able to accomplish by being bad last year. That means that their bench got stronger. Guys simply got the minutes that they wouldn't have gotten if they were in had Clay and Steph down there. So, they got about 3 or 4 guys on that team that I think make a very good bench for the Golden State Warriors. And because they're that deep, they're going to be able to withstand injury. So don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. They still could be good enough to be there. Next to us at the end for the Western Conference Championship. I really believe they're good enough to be there right now without Clay. But will they pull it off? I don't know. The West is deep. Denver's very good. They're good enough to be there too. The Clippers, I don't like the moves that the Clippers have made, but if Kawhi Leonard turns back into Kawhi Leonard, they're still a dangerous team. And they're one trade away from being very good again. Paul George. So, it is what it is, man. I love what the NBA is doing. I love the NBA landscape, and I love you guys. Thanks for watching. My name is BF44, and I'm out.